we say hooks, right? But we say that to try and teach you a way to engage your hip, right? Because when you're making the hook helps obviously keep you attached. But what really, really matters is when I make a hook, I dial my hips in. And from mount, hooks and hips, it reminds me a lot of like learning how to drive a car, right? When you start learning how to drive a car, every correction you make is an overcorrection. And you have this series of like, you know, I'm drifting this way, I come back this way. I'm drifting this way, I come back this way, right? Until eventually you dial those back in, you dial those back in, you dial those back in. And even when you're driving now after 20 years, 30 years, you're still making the corrections to the steering wheel on the road. They're smaller and you just don't notice it anymore. Your hip movement to mount, that should be what you try and get to, right? You try and get to where you're constantly turning your hips in as you feel them turning over one way or another, and you're doing it only as much as you need to do it and without thinking about it. And when you get to that level of staying mounted on somebody, you're doing pretty good for yourself in here, right? And that's when people will start describing your mount game as sticky and heavy and, you know, he constantly does these things or, you know, whatever, right? And that's what it is. It's just you're adjusting to what they're feeling, you're feeling in their hips, and you're doing it before they even get started on a big explosive escape movement so that they don't even get like space going, right?